The Gospels according to John
Hey,
11,
good morning,
the
good evening,
Orthodox
good
Bible.
afternoon. God bless the whole universe. We in the Orthodox Bible. We continue where we left off. So we on the Gospel according to John chapter 11. Lazarus dies. What is my wish? I wish people would stop thinking that you could do whatever you want and still go to heaven. Lazarus dies. 11:1. Now a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. And it was that Mary who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. And therefore the sister sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, so when he heard that he was sick, and he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. Then after this he said to his disciples, Let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews sought to stone you, and you are going there again? And Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if one walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. These things he said, and after that he said to them, Our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may wake him up. Then his disciples said, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get well. However, Jesus spoke of his death, but they thought that he was speaking about taking a rest and sleep. Then Jesus said to them, Plainly, Lazarus is dead, and I am glad for your sake that I was not there, that you may believe. And nevertheless, let us go to him. Then Thomas, who is called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let us also go, that we may die with him. I am the resurrection and the life. 11:17. So, when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had joined the woman around Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Now Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary was sitting in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise again. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life, and he who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live, and whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into this world. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary, her sister, saying, The teacher has come, and is calling for you. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with him, then the Jews who were with her in the house, comforting her, making her feel good, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out and followed her, saying, She is going to the tomb to weep there. And then when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down to his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Therefore, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, See how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also have kept this man from dying? Lazarus is raised. 11:38. Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, come to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone laid against it. And Jesus said, Take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he had been dead 4 days. And Jesus said to her, Did I not say to you that if you would believe, that would believe you would see the glory of God. And then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me, and I know that you always hear me. But because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. Now when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died, come out of bonds, and hands and foot, and with grave cloth, and his face was wiped with the cloth. And Jesus said to them, Loosen him, and let him go. The Sanhedrin plots to kill Jesus. 11:45. And then many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen the things Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them that the things Jesus did. And then the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered the council and said, What shall we do? For this man works many signs. If we let him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, Caiaphas, being high priest that year, said to them, You know nothing at all, and nor do you consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and not the whole nation should perish. Now this he said not say on his own authority, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation. And not for that nation only, but also he would gather together in one the children of God who were scattered abroad. Then from that day on, they plotted to put him to death. And therefore Jesus no longer walked openly among the Jews, but went from there into the country near the wilderness, to a city called Ephraim, and there remained with his disciples. And the Passover of the Jews was near, and many went from the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then they sought Jesus, and spoke among themselves as they stood in the temple, What do you think, that he will come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a command that if anyone knew where he was, he should report it, that they might seize him. Study the 3 days is always important, because back then, if they wanted to make sure you were dead, they'd give you 3 days in the tomb just to see if you were alive. That's why the 4th day was important. Jesus wept is also the shortest verse in the whole Bible, and the fact that he mourned so much for Lazarus and groaned in himself, it only makes Jesus more special. It shows how much he loved us. It's so crazy how the Pharisees just wanted to kill Jesus, after he does all these great things, plotting to kill, breaking the commandment, I also get confused when they talk about sleep and death, because Jesus does mention sleep a lot. It's in the Old Testament. So I always wonder, do we sleep until resurrection day to judgment day, or do we go to a spirit world in spirit? Because we don't get our new bodies till judgment day. We know this, right? There's nobody looking down watching us, because why would they? If they're in a happy world, they wouldn't want to see our misery. So that wouldn't even make sense. I never get it when people say that, the people are watching you, they're happy. I don't think so. They're either sleeping till resurrection day, or they're in a spirit ball floating around like Lazarus and the rich man in Abraham's bosom. So I don't know. That's probably my biggest question as a Christian. Because when you sleep, you ever been in surgery and they put gas on you? You go out, you don't even know you're asleep, right? You don't even got no consciousness, nothing. You just wake up and you're like, what's up? That's how I imagine death is like, it's just nothingness. You don't know that you're asleep. So if you do go to sleep that way, it is going to be like you close your eyes and then open your eyes with the Lord. It's going to be just like that. Because if you go into surgery and they put gas on you, it's just like that. 1 minute you're asleep, 1 minute you're awake. Anyways, God bless you. I'm not trying to confuse you. Just keeping it 100, always. We do our research about God. We don't get caught up in denominations and churches and all that. We must obey the commandments and go to church, but we need to learn more about God. Don't just be like, I'm good, I'm a Christian, it's over now. No, it's never over. We got to keep staying strong to the end. Hey, God bless you all. I encourage you to open up that Bible and read it and start on page 1. The Gospel of John, of course.